The mini review by myself and Anita Risch highlights the critical role of insect and mammalian herbivores in the success of nature-based solutions. We emphasize grasslands, which will be a crucial ecosystem for reliable carbon storage in a warmer, drier, more fire-prone future. While plant-herbivore interactions vary by climate and species, this context dependence is known in many cases and can be used to support the success of nature-based solutions. One emergent theme is that herbivore densities naturally supported by the environment can be consistent with achieving nature-based solutions for biodiversity and carbon.
Trees are real ecosystem engineers shaping the light condition, temperature, the humidity and the movement of nutrients and water. And this influence is particularly evident in forests, where the crowns of different trees can form a dense canopy layer that can act as a protective shield, limiting the influence of environmental changes, like climate warming for example, on the organisms and processes operating at the forest floor. By putting together all available knowledge on this topic, we found that there's actually no such thing like an ideal canopy structure to deal with all environmental pressures at play. We argue, however, that a dense canopy composed of a mix of tree ages and species might offer the most effective nature-based solution to deal with the mix of environmental pressures at the forest floor.
Trees like this one have been proposed as an important tool to fight climate change. However, if trees replace grasslands and shrublands, they can create many problems. For example, they can increase fires, they can reduce species richness, they can reduce soil carbon, and they can use a lot more water than grasslands and shrublands. And with that, be like a huge problem to fight climate change.
Hi, my name is John Finn and I'm a researcher with Teagasc in Ireland. Colleagues and I are developing principles to design targeted combinations of multi-species mixtures like the one you see behind me to deliver high yields of grassland forage but with low levels of nitrogen input. Many temperate grassland areas in the world use monocultures of grass species to deliver high forage yields, but also rely on quite high levels of nitrogen fertilizer to achieve those high yields. And nitrogen fertilizer has associated negative environmental impacts for water, air, and biodiversity. We're developing targeted combinations of grasses, legumes, and herbs to better utilize available soil nutrients, available light, and also to fit the ability of clover to fix nitrogen and incorporate that into the grassland sward and compensate for the contribution that would otherwise come from fertilizer nitrogen. We know that there are also other benefits of multi-species mixtures that include resistance to drought events, reduced nitrate leaching, higher weed suppression, and improved soil biodiversity and soil health. So we're using these targeted combinations of species in multi-species grasslands and our knowledge of plant ecology as nature-based solutions to improve the agricultural sustainability of grassland production for high-yielding grassland areas.
Kaya, hello, from Whadjuk Noongar country in Perth, Western Australia, where I live and work as an ecologist. The key message from our paper is that biological diversity is key to the effectiveness of nature-based solutions for climate change. Diversity matters within individuals, species, communities, and across landscapes. This is because diversity underpins resilience, or the capacity of nature-based solutions to respond to disturbance and to changing environmental conditions.
The field of plant ecology has a lot to contribute to our understanding of nature-based solutions for climate change. For our mini review, Regina May Francia and I focused on physical warming and atmospheric drying and how plants can help mitigate these effects by creating shade, blocking absorption of solar radiation, and evaporative cooling through transpiration. Short grasslands do this, shrubs do it, mosses, and of course trees. All plants do this. But we don't know who does it best, why they do it so well, and when we might expect the greatest benefits. In order to provide practical nature-based solutions, us plant ecologists need to better understand what plant traits are associated with strong microclimate cooling and humidification. We recommend future research examine things like rooting depth, stomatal responses to drought, and emergent effects of plant diversity on cooling and humidification by vegetation.
Supporting biodiversity is a central goal of nature-based solutions, but it's often overlooked in favor of human-derived ecosystem services. However, these services, like urban cooling, depend on the resilience of the species providing them, which in turn depends on their ecological interactions. For example, many plants, which are often the foundation of nature-based solutions, rely on animals, especially insects, for pollination, and we depend on these same pollinators for many of our food crops. Explicitly considering and protecting plant-pollinator interactions, especially those that function best under climate change, would ensure the sustained benefits of nature-based solutions to biodiversity and to people.
Hello, my name's Catherine Lovelock. I'm from the University of Queensland and I'm a mangrove ecologist. We reviewed the use of mangroves as nature-based solutions. Now, mangroves are used as nature-based solutions because they provide coastal protection and they reduce the risk of coastal flooding and dampen waves. They provide climate regulation services because they're good at storing CO2 in their biomass and soils. And of course, they provide habitat for biodiversity and support fisheries and the harvest of both timber and non-timber products. In our review of how mangroves are used in nature-based solutions and what the role of ecology is, we found that nature-based solutions could be improved with the use of a broader range of ecological knowledge, and that includes over larger spatial scales. For example, the knowledge that we have of how important it is that mangroves exist within a seascape that includes reefs, seagrass, salt marshes, and other ecosystems. They could also use ecological knowledge over broader temporal scales. And for example, that might be understanding more deeply the role of disturbance in mangrove ecology, and also how communities of mangroves might adjust with rising sea levels. Finally, we recommend that if we are to engage ecologists more in designing and implementing nature-based solutions, that ecologists need to be trained in a broad range of disciplines. And that includes engineering and, within the social sciences, the consideration of mangroves as social ecological systems.